Man's Search for Meaning is an existential and psychological exploration by Viktor E. Frankl, based on his experiences as a Holocaust survivor and his development of logotherapy. The book is divided into two main parts: Frankl's experiences in Nazi concentration camps and an introduction to logotherapy. Part 1: Experiences in a concentration camp. Chapter 1: Arrival and Shock. Transport to Auschwitz. Prisoners were transported in cramped, inhumane conditions. On arrival, prisoners were immediately subjected to a selection process where many were sent directly to the gas chambers. Frankl describes the shock and disbelief as prisoners grappled with the horrific reality. Initial reactions. New arrivals were stripped of their personal belongings and identities. The psychological shock included the denial of reality, followed by a gradual acceptance marked by numbness and apathy. Chapter 2: Life in the Camp. Daily struggles. Inhumane living conditions: overcrowded barracks, insufficient food, lack of sanitation, forced labor, extreme physical labor under harsh conditions, constant threat of death from executions, harsh labor, starvation, and disease. Psychological phases. Shock and denial initial phase, where prisoners were unable to fully grasp their situation. Apathy, emotional death, a protective mechanism to endure daily horrors. Physical pain, extreme hunger, and the brutal treatment became less impactful on an emotional level. Moral degradation: survival often meant compromising one's values and morals. Chapter 3: Psychological reactions to imprisonment. Depersonalization. The dehumanizing effects of camp life stripped prisoners of their sense of self, loss of individual identity, and the adoption of a survival mode mindset. Regression. Prisoners regressed to more primitive behaviors focused solely on survival. The brutality and savagery sometimes mirrored the behavior of the oppressors. Chapter 4: Finding Meaning in Suffering. Sources of meaning. Frankl found meaning through thoughts of his wife and imagining conversations with her. Observing acts of kindness and humanity provided a sense of purpose. Attitude towards suffering. Frankl posits that suffering can be meaningful if approached with the right attitude. Those who found meaning in their suffering were more resilient. Chapter 5: Liberation and Aftermath. Psychological consequences of liberation. The initial joy of freedom was often replaced by feelings of emptiness and disillusionment. Survivors faced the challenge of reintegration into a world that had moved on without them. Bitterness and disillusionment. The difficulty of adjusting to normal life after extreme trauma. Many survivors struggled with feelings of bitterness towards those who did not share their experiences. Part 2: Logotherapy in a nutshell. Chapter 6: Logotherapy's basic concepts. The will to meaning. Frankl's theory posits that the primary human drive is the search for meaning in life. This is contrasted with Freud's pleasure principle and Adler's will to power. Existential frustration. When people fail to find meaning, they experience existential frustration, leading to feelings of emptiness and boredom. Chapter 7: The Existential Vacuum. Symptoms of the existential vacuum. Boredom, apathy, and a lack of direction in life. Modern society's tendency towards nihilism and loss of traditional values. Consequences. The existential vacuum can lead to neuroses, depression, and addiction as individuals seek to fill the void. Chapter 8: The Essence of Logotherapy. Therapeutic process. Logotherapy aims to help individuals discover meaning in their lives. It involves identifying and pursuing meaningful goals and values. Three main avenues to meaning: creative values, engaging in meaningful work or creating something valuable; experiential values, experiencing something or someone, e.g. love, nature; attitudinal values, the attitude one takes towards unavoidable suffering. Chapter 9: Applications and Case Studies. Clinical applications. Frankl provides examples of how logotherapy can help treat depression, anxiety, and existential crises. Emphasizes the importance of finding personal meaning to overcome psychological distress. Personal responsibility. Emphasizes individual responsibility in finding and fulfilling one's purpose. The search for meaning is a dynamic and ongoing process. Chapter 10: Conclusion. Life's meaning. Life's meaning is unique to each individual and can be found in every moment. Even in suffering, one can find purpose and meaning. transforming personal tragedy into a triumph of the human spirit. The legacy of logotherapy. Logotherapy has influenced various fields, including psychology, psychiatry, and counseling. Its emphasis on meaning and purpose continues to offer valuable insights into human motivation and resilience. Key takeaways. Meaning in suffering. Suffering is an inevitable part of life, but it can be meaningful if we find a purpose in it. Personal responsibility. We have the freedom to choose our attitudes and actions, regardless of our circumstances. Unique purpose. Each individual has a unique purpose that can be discovered through creativity, experiences, and the way we handle suffering. Relevance today. A. Frankl's work remains relevant today, offering insights into overcoming adversity, finding purpose, and cultivating resilience in an increasingly complex and often challenging world.